Hi everyone. I know it's been a while, but a lot's been going on, hasn't it? I've been in and out of Nepal, mostly in Nepal, and so much has happened in our country. Some good, some absolutely devastating and irreparable. We've all witnessed such things in our country. And then the festive season happened, which has just finished. And I've been traveling in and out, like I said. And also I've been conducting Akashic reading sessions and life coaching sessions. And then I thought, it's been a while. I haven't uploaded my third episode in the Season of Sentiments series. And I thought it's time. So here I am with the third episode, which I hope you will like and appreciate. And the title of this episode is The Weight of Holding It All. Why strong women break down, and what real strength looks like. And the reason why I'm uploading this video and the title is such is because I don't believe that anybody should have to break down. And most of my episodes and most of my videos are mostly from personal experience and what I've observed. So the intention is to share the weight that all of us carry, and whether it be men and women. But because I'm a woman, I'd like to talk about women, because I feel what women feel, mostly. But I've also observed what men can seem to be going through. And I thought, and I wanted to share what I have practiced, tried to practice, I'm learning, and so that we don't need to break down. And I'd also like to say that this episode is not exclusively for women, because I've tried to cover what I've seen and observed in men too here and there. So I hope you like it. And I'd like to start with what I've called the silent start. There's a moment every strong woman knows. And I believe that all women are strong, no matter what they do. There's that moment, that quiet ache when no one's watching. The world calls her unstoppable and even applauds her. She gets a lot of praises for being strong, but inside she whispers in those moments or that moment, and she says, "Whew, I'm tired of holding it all." Feel me? It is my experience and belief that strong women don't fall apart because they're weak. They break because they've carried too much for too long, and sometimes with too little care and too little true understanding. So why do strong women break down? We break down when compassion turns one-sided, when "I'll handle it" becomes a lifestyle, when we measure our worth by how much we can endure. And I have to say that these aren't failures, mind you. They are symptoms of imbalance. And that is what we need to correct. And while women are carrying the weight of holding it all, the men beside them often carry a different kind of weight. The silence of being expected to fix it all. Makes sense? There are two kinds of exhaustion circling each other. And both are craving the same thing, which is understanding. But instead, we repeatedly face instructions rather than understanding. So how do we turn these micro, if not addressed, which become macro breakdowns into, let's call it breakthroughs? What do? I really believe that we need to take time out by ourselves. And this is something that I feel is paramount for every individual, to ask ourselves when we are in solitude, what part of me is exhausted? Am I exhausted? Am I tired? Is my mind exhausted? Is my body exhausted? Or is it my soul? What do I need? Let me cancel one thing which I think, that I have to do today. And I've practiced this, which is why I'm sharing it. And when we do that, I will not distract myself, and actually use that time to breathe into the space that my taking time out has created. And maybe even whisper to myself while doing this and say, hey, Ravina, it's safe to rest. I see so many people who have forgotten how to rest. We've glorified busyness, and we're always saying, oh, I'm so busy, my schedule is da-da-da-da-da. But we need to learn how to rest. And I will tell you that this may seem like a very small act, but it has far-reaching effects, positive effects. Because when two exhausted people are circling around each other in different, exhausted in different ways, when one softens, when one of us softens, then it gives permission to the other person also to do the same. I urge you to try it. Give it a try, please. Otherwise, if you don't have anyone that this is, happening with, why don't you try it for yourself, please? And I'd also like to actually touch upon what I would like to call the hidden weight of dependence. It's a big one, this. And some of us have known this for a long, long time. And some later on in life. There are some weights that cannot be seen. They live in bank accounts we don't control. And in dreams we delay for the sake of security. Many strong women depend not because they cannot earn, but because they are taught to survive first and self-trust later. And sometimes the men beside us are definitely not the enemy of our freedom. They're tired of their own script and expectations too. Taught to provide as men, not to pause, not to rest, to support, to always be the one supporting, and not to share and to bottle everything up, because vulnerability is a sign of weakness. So, and we see that, we can observe that around us. So I believe that when we start talking about what weighs us instead of trading them, perhaps love can turn from pressure into partnerships. I think it is very important to be able to talk about these unseen but deeply felt weights that can be so heavy in relationships. So while we are talking about dependence, what is it about finance and finances and emotional liberation? Let's try a deep dive into this. A little deeper. Let's say money. For most of us, it was never really just about numbers. What is money actually? Money. It's about permission. It's about being able to have the independence to decide. So many people, and especially women, have been taught to make everything work except their own wealth, to budget the world's needs, but silence our own desires. We were taught that asking for money was materialistic. To love money, to like money, is materialistic. But we forget, money is not greed. Money is grounding energy. It's the currency of the world. Money lets dreams breathe and choices expand, and it gives you the dignity to stand tall. I remember my mum telling me to open an account in a bank just for myself. Sound advice, which I understood and its significance much later in life. Thank you, Mum. Great advice, that. I think we need to learn to sort of, rewrite the money script, Perhaps just by saying to oneself, I'm learning to lead my money wisely. Even if it is given by someone else to me and I'm not earning myself. I would say, with whatever money you have, let's learn to put aside at least as little as even 100 rupees per day. And I'm a huge advocate for sovereignty. And what I'd like to call this is putting money aside in perhaps a sovereignty fund. You can call it a sovereignty fund. And then maybe at the end of the day, after you put that money aside, you can sit and write that whatever I did, this 100 rupees, this had worth. Because money is not just currency, you see. I believe it's choice. It gives us the freedom of choice. And it doesn't matter what amount it is, even if it's a small amount, because it's the energetic declaration that when you put money aside, to say, I trust myself with resources, and money is resources. Because financial freedom isn't about having more, it's about depending less on permission. We don't need to ask for what you can create, and you don't need to ask for what you can create. You don't need to hide what you can manage. So whatever little you have, whatever, whether you're earning it yourself or it is being given to you because you're not earning, put it aside. Put a little bit aside for yourself. And you don't need to ask for what you can create. And you're creating a certain fund for yourself. You don't need to feel guilty about wanting more. And you don't need to hide for a little bit of money that you're managing. Because more does not mean excess. It does not necessarily mean excess. It's expression, I feel. Expression and the freedom to do, to purchase what you do. For a woman deserves to know that how it feels to buy something without guilt. All of us do. And to give without depletion, to give your children, to give someone some money without depletion, without thinking, I'm going to run out of money. And when you're able to do that, you can make choices. You can make choices to stay, or you can make choices to stay, not because she has to, in a job, in a relationship, anywhere, in a friendship. But she will choose to stay because she makes the choice to stay, because she has that independence and liberty. So let me share, I'd like to share some micro tools to integrate in life when you are, for those women who are not earning per se and who are not going to work. I'd like to suggest that you have, you open you keep like what I call the worth journal. Each night, write one action that created value, that had value that you did all day. Listening, leading, cooking, creating, cleaning, sharing, comforting, all of the things that mothers and wives and daughters and sisters do, which, I'm not to say that men don't do that, but it's the mothers and the daughters and the sisters and the wives who do that a lot in a household. So, and that leading, comforting, listening, creating, sharing, all of that holds value, even if no one voices appreciation. At the end of the day, say to yourself, this had worth, whatever I did, and so do I. And that's what I bring to the table. So secondly, coming back to the sovereignty fund that I mentioned, have a jar, label a small jar or an account and call it the sovereignty fund, your sovereignty fund. And with each deposit, no matter how small, please affirm to yourself, I trust myself with prosperity. This is a suggestion, and I think it'll help a lot. And it has a lot of scientific, whether it be through neuroscience and how it affects our brain and our energy system and our dignity and our self-esteem. So try it. And number 3, I think it is very, very important that we do an energetic audit as a monthly ritual. I think it's important that we ask, where does my energy earn interest and where does it leak? Where is it trickling out? Where is my energy trickling out? Where is it leaking? Is it leaking with time? Is it leaking with people? Is it leaking with work? And I think we need to do an audit. And please let us learn to redirect from depletion to creation for yourself. whether you'd like to plant a plant, do something, get together with friends and do something creative. Do it for yourself or with friends. I think it's very important that we do an energy audit. You have to take time out for yourself. Also, how about, starting something I'd like to call the exchange practice. Before giving, and we are such masters at giving, women, we are hardwired to give all the time. Before giving, whether it be your time or advice or even money, why don't you pause and ask, am I giving out of generosity or is it just guilt? Think about it. And this applies not just for women, but also men. Am I giving out of generosity or is it guilt that's making me give? Because real giving nourishes both sides. The big one, this. So if you're giving money to someone, are you giving out of generosity or are you giving out of guilt? Or are you just doing it because that's what you do? I think that's something that, the energy practice, the exchange practice that we do, we need to give it some thought. And like I said, it's not just money, it's time, it's advice. When we do that, and all of us give that. All of us are giving our time and energy and money to people. Because what I know for a fact is that money in a woman's hand is not dangerous. It's divine. And there's been surveys, and there are lots of studies that have been conducted that companies run by women do much better. So women are good with money. It's true, because she's Lakshmi. She multiplies when she touches. Whatever she touches, she multiplies. Most women. And I don't want to talk about exceptions here. There are exceptions to everything. But money in a woman's hand is not dangerous. It's divine, because she multiplies what she touches, whether it be comfort, whether it be aesthetics, whether it be community, whether it be creation around the house, in the environment. That's what she does. She creates beauty. She adds value. So financial freedom is actually, I have come to understand, it gives you emotional freedom. And it's also having the courage then to say, I am not waiting to be saved. I am safe within myself. When you have financial freedom, you have emotional freedom. And when you have emotional freedom, it gives you the courage to say, I am not waiting to be saved by anyone, because I am safe within myself. And when you feel that, when you really feel that peace of being both soft and secure, you realize that abundance was never about what you have. It was about what you finally believe you deserve. And I'm learning that. And I'm learning that too. Believe it or not, I'm learning that too. And trust me, it isn't easy, but damn well worth it. Especially the self-talk. So what does real strength look like? I believe that real strength is not stoic, having no feelings, Real strength is being self-aware. It's being able to cry and continue. It's being able to rest and then to rise. It's having the courage to say, I need you right now, without feeling small. To be able to say, I need you, whether to a friend, a partner, family, whoever. To be able to say that, because strength has no gender, and this applies not only for women, it applies to men as well. Because strength has no gender, I repeat, only stories that we inherited about who's allowed to feel. I encourage all of us to dare to feel and share, because nobody is as tough as they project themselves to be. Really. So let's talk a bit about about rebuilding true strength. Each morning, I think it'll be great if we rise, when we rise, to ask ourselves, am I leading today, and am I leading myself from fear or faith? The two big F's, faith or fear. Because fear pushes, whereas faith paces, There's a rhythm to it. And fear makes you want to go out and prove. And faith, when you're leading through faith, it helps you pause. And fear says, you're on your own. You have to do this by yourself. It's on you. Whereas faith whispers, you are supported. So each morning, let's ask ourselves, am I leading from fear or faith? I feel that we humans also need to learn the art of reflection, which is why I say, rebuilding true strength. We need to sit and ask ourselves these questions. And I'm sharing, most of these episodes, like I've said, are from personal experience and observations. And I feel that we humans really need to learn the art of reflection, sitting on your own in solitude and processing one's life. Not in a morose, sad, brooding kind of way, but just conducting an audit of how things are around you. And I think we all need to learn 3 R's. One is to rest. The second is to reflect. And the third is then to re-enter life after resting and reflecting. Then to be able to re-enter life from time to time. We need to be able to do that. We also need to, and I'm somebody who's learning this, still learning this. We also need to learn how to let help in as easily as you offer it out. It's so easy. I've always been someone who's reaching out, helping people. But it's been a big learning curve for me to learn how to receive help. So I think we need to learn as who we call strong people, as strong humans. We need to learn how to let help in as easily as we offer it out. It's important, I've learned, because it's when we model this balance that we actually teach ourselves and teach love, which is what we are, how to breathe. Yeah. And when I say love, I mean love for oneself and love for others. And when I mean breath, I mean creating spaciousness. Not stifling, just creating spaciousness in love. Because, come to think about it, we were never meant, us humans, we were never meant to sprint through life endlessly fixing, proving, earning. True strength isn't in motion, in constant motion. It's in the mastery of rhythm. And we need to find our own pace and rhythm. We need to know when to act. We need to know when to ask. And we need to know when to allow help. I really want to expand a little bit on the 3 R's, rest, reflect, and re-enter. When I say rest, I mean rest not because you're weak, but because integration happens, whether it be physically, physiologically, mentally, emotionally, all of that, energetically. Integration happens in stillness. And we need to allow ourselves that. We need to give ourselves that. We are worthy, and we need to be able to give ourselves that, no matter your age. And reflection is asking ourselves, what is this moment trying to teach me and not take away from me or not take from me? Everything that, I say that none of us humans in this human experience will ever escape all the things that happen to humans, which is pain, betrayal, loss, sometimes having to think about money, relationships, jealousy, or all kinds of, emotions that we humans feel and encounter in life. But we need to really, really, really be able to ask this question: what is this moment trying to teach me? How do I become a better person? What is it trying to teach me? How am I becoming stronger? What am I learning from this? Rather than this moment taking something away from me. I think that's a good attitude to have and a good approach. And then to re-enter back into your life, not with reaction, or not with through reaction in a reactive way, but with intention, the right intention, knowing what kind of life you want, and then re-entering. So rest, reflect, and re-entering your life from time to time. I think it's very, 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 very important that we do that from time to time. Also, just to share the benefits of letting help in as easily as we offer it out. Oh, and I have to say this to strong fellow humans. What I've learned is that true strength is reciprocal. The same hands that heal others deserve to be held. Oh God, yes, please. The very same hands that heal others deserve to be held. And every time you receive, you teach others that giving can be graceful. Yeah. So it's a big thing to learn, especially when you've learned how to be independent. So receiving help or learning to receive it's a big one, and I think that's something that we need to learn. And over here, I will say we don't have to learn everything overnight. So I call it, the 3% rule, which is like and you can use this as a daily centering ritual, where you don't try to change everything overnight, and you just try and shift who you are and shift your energy by around 3%, One kind of thought for yourself and others. One, maybe a slower breath, not on a mad dash all the time. I remember when you're ruled by the clock and when you're not centered or self-aware, brushing your teeth, eating, everything is in a rush. So, and we, as humans, as adults especially, we've even forgotten how to breathe. When we observe a little child, you see their stomach going up and down. But when we look at all of us adults, it's our chest that goes up and down. And this is something that I teach, and this is something that I suggest and share in my Akashic and life coaching sessions. So here you go. Anyway, so learning to shift your energy as a daily centering practice by 3%, not much. And creating, trying to create boundaries. And not just create boundaries, but to honor them. And honor boundaries that you create for yourself and others, especially for yourself. And trust me, over time, small consistencies create lasting sovereignty. I keep harping on sovereignty, and I'll do a whole session maybe on sovereignty. And I've also created workshops on sovereignty, and I'd like to share that very soon. But all of these little practices, they make you a sovereign being, and we all are sovereign beings. So I'm going to share with you one mantra which I practice, which I have called faith over force mantra. And I say to myself, I move with alignment, not anxiety. I choose creation, not control. I trust the timing of my becoming. Isn't that beautiful? You know, when you lead from faith, you actually stop chasing and start attracting. I used to be a huge overgiver, and I'm learning. When I love, I overgive. I used to overgive. So when you lead from faith, you stop chasing and stop attracting, and you stop overgiving and start overflowing. It's from the overflow, and then from the overflow that you give, so that you're not depleted. So strength no longer means resistance. It doesn't mean resistance. It doesn't mean having to be tough, no matter what's going on inside of you or with you. I believe that strength means resonance. True strength is that. Look at us. We're all so anxious. All human beings, most human beings are so anxious. Everyone's in a hurry most of the time. And people cannot sit still. We need distractions. And everyone is just feeling so heavy. There's such a weight on humans. So let's learn. We need to learn to lay the weight down a little at a time. And when I say set the weight down, because when you set the weight down, the world does not collapse. You don't have to carry everything. We don't have to carry everything. And trust me, I share from experience that every time I've practiced that, I feel that, the world exhales with you. Not only do you exhale and create space and lightness within you, there's just this lightness of being, but the world also exhales with you. The world around you exhales with you. And in that breath, you meet the person you were before you were told, and you learned to carry it all. Because when we model and strike that balance, we teach love how to breathe. We are love. We teach ourselves how to breathe. And that, I believe, is what real strength looks like. I'd like to close by saying to every woman who has carried the world on her back, and to every man who's been told he must hold it alone, may we meet that man and that woman who are each carrying that load. May we meet not in perfection, but in presence. Let us be able to understand these things, because the world definitely does not need stronger masks of being strong, of having it all together, together, put together, having it all together. The world does not need that. What the world needs, I believe, are softer hearts. That's what the world needs. That's what we need. That's what we are actually each looking for. So if we keep posing as that, how are we going to encounter softer hearts? So this is an episode which I thought I wanted to put out there, so that at least it's a food for thought. And like I said, from personal experience and how it has helped me. But I'm still learning too. We're all learning. And whatever I've learned and how it's helped me, I wanted to share with you through this episode. So I thank you if you've made it this far. But I'll also leave you with one last question for you to reflect. What weight have you been carrying? And who could you trust to help you set it down? That weight that you're carrying. Who can you trust to help you set that weight down? I hope you have someone. I definitely do. I'm very, very lucky to have friends who I can just pick up the phone and call and say, I need you. I hope you do too. And if you don't, write to me and I'll see if I can help you in any which way I can. So thank you for watching. Do subscribe and do share with whoever you feel this may help with whatever I've said. And I'll see you really soon in my next episode, which is titled When the Corporate Heart Cracks. Like I said, I only share experiences, my own mostly, and those that I've observed. And the next one is going to be that, when the corporate heart cracks. Be well, everyone. Thank you for watching. Bye. Thank you.